Ooh, okay, we're gonna get there. 0 to 60 in 9.6 seconds in the 2025 refreshed Volkswagen Taos. Oh, I lost my camera a bit there with all the torque. Okay, now the torque has not been improved year over year, but they did improve the horsepower. It went from like 158, now it has 174, something like that. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I feel like the horsepower, you can't really feel the difference. And fuel economy, all-wheel drive, I think it's around 28 miles per gallon. Highway is where this is going to do best on fuel economy, like most non-hybrids. What is responsiveness like? We have an 8-speed auto here on the all-wheel drive models. It used to be a 7-speed dual clutch. So if I do pedal down, double downshift, and then it starts going. I mean, I feel like on paper it looks better than how it actually performs. All right, this transmission is a bit on the slower side. It's smooth, don't get me wrong, it's smooth. The engine at higher RPMs, I did notice it when I was accelerating there, it's a little bit buzzy. So 9.60 to 60 and 100 kilometers per hour, 0 to 100 was at 10.3 seconds, all right. Honestly, it's kind of what I expected for this class. This sort of acceleration around 9 to 10 seconds, which competes with the Crosstrek, the Kicks, the HRV. What will smoke this though is two competitors, all right? You have Toyota's Corolla Cross, which is hybrid. This does a few things better than the Corolla Cross, which we'll talk about today. And then you also have the CX-30 Turbo. Even the non-turbo CX-30 would smoke this with 191 horsepower and the 6-speed auto. All right. You can get this in front-wheel drive. That will give you better fuel economy. I guarantee it'll give you noticeably better acceleration too. I think the all-wheel drive system here does take a little bit of juice away from the accelerating part. All right, and it does add weight, so therefore it does affect fuel economy, all right, just by a couple miles per gallon. But you know, I'm gonna say for most people, front wheel drive is gonna be the answer. That's all they probably need on the Taos. Save a bit of money, get better fuel economy, and get better acceleration as well. All right, so for 2025, the Volkswagen Taos has a new front end to it. I don't think it looks better, honestly. I think they took a step back with the design, but I mean, let me know what you guys think. You know, for example, one of its key competitors, the HRV, also is ugly up front, so I'm not gonna say which one looks better than the other. They're both not very hot. Mazda looks really sharp from up front. The Nissan Kicks looks very sharp from up front. So I would say, like, from a design perspective, looking head on, they kind of went like the full macho up front, which is, I don't know, this class of vehicle is, oh geez, I just got that dump truck is honking away. This class of vehicle shouldn't look too tough. I know, like, the Subaru Crosstrek, you know, is in this category as well. I haven't driven one of those in quite some time, so it's hard to say. Throwing this through the turn, you know, Volkswagens do well here. They always feel great in the turns. This is going to handle better than I would say, like than compared to a Corolla Cross, for example. But I would say it's competitive with the Mazda, the Nissan Kicks, and the HRV when it comes to handling. All right, what this vehicle does really well is comfort. I mean, this seat in this SEL, which comes in around close to $35,000, I don't recommend this trim because the sound system's so bad that it shouldn't be. This is a decent, and it's not even a decent bass system. It would be a bad bass sound system. But in this SEL trim, the sound system's downright terrible. Okay, so that's a bit of a miss, but I am comfortable. Like, the armrests in here are really well done. The materials are nicely done. The stitching's good here on this SEL trim. But again, the SEL, it's not gonna get you more horsepower. I do have this optional panel roof, which is beautiful and you don't really see in this class. So the braking feel here, let me get in the brakes pretty hard now. Yeah, Volkswagen's done a great job with the brakes here. And let's accelerate again. Yep. You know, here's what I noticed with this. They have revised this engine. It doesn't feel as snappy as the old one, but the old one also had really bad turbo lag, which was kind of fun. And it would like trip the tires. Now maybe I had a front wheel drive model or something the last one I tested, but it felt way more snappy compared to this all-wheel drive, even though this has more horsepower than the last model I tested. All right, let's talk about ergonomics. Steering wheel's great. I love all the physical buttons. There's no like touch capacitive buttons like you see on other Volkswagen models. I have this 10-inch screen behind here. I think the base is an 8-inch screen, but I can change the view. I can put my navigation behind there, my music. It's pretty simple, easy to adjust to, and I like this 10-inch screen. This 8-inch screen is pretty low resolution, but at least I have wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. I like my volume knob right here. It's easy to get into the car menu and stuff like that with these side touch capacitive buttons. I have a tuning knob. What the heck? That's amazing. This does have Sirius XM, by the way. The AC in here is ice cold. It's 87 degrees out. I have it on the lowest fan speed. Ice cold AC. If air conditioning is important to you, Volkswagen Taos should definitely be a consideration. I do have heated and ventilated seats, which bravo. You know, like I said, I'm not happy about the sound system, but at least I have ventilated seats in here in this SEL grade, heated seats as well. Blind spot monitor is standard across the grades. This does have really good standard safety features in the vehicle as well, like radar cruise control and lane keep assist. I do have a wireless charger in this grade. I have 2 USB-Cs down there for charging. I think they're all 45 watts, which is really fast charging. As I'm driving right now, I do have this really glossy bezel here, piano black on the dash. Manufacturers like doing that because it creates a sense of speed, but to me it's just distracting, and if the sun hits it just right, I could be blinded, but I haven't been this week. All right, I forgot to mention I do have a heated steering wheel as well, which it's 87, 88 degrees now. I'm not going to be needing that. All right, how would I compare this vehicle to like the vehicle in front of me? Like, I think that's the Chevy Trax, the updated Chevy Trax. I think the Trax can be had for a little bit less. I like this car better. It has a bigger engine, it has a 4-cylinder. Fuel economy is better on this model just by a little bit compared to the Chevy Trax. Last time I remember driving one of those. Okay, wow. This vehicle is more responsive. As you saw, that Chevy Trax was stuck at that green light for about 10 seconds after it switched. You know, let's talk about the other things for the passengers and the cargo. Immense cargo, and the lid, the trunk lid here it lifts up so high. All right, so that illuminated Volkswagen logo on the back. You got the fake exhaust tips. I think it's a good looking vehicle from the back, but yeah, like that lift gate lifts up so high. I can fit under it over 6 feet tall. Good cargo space. There's a spare tire. You can fold the seats down. You have a ski pass through. So the utility here is incredible. And there's tons of leg room in the back seat. Lots of headroom. There's a USB-C back there and like some vents. Vents aren't guaranteed in this segment. If you look at the Honda HR-V, I think that was a Lexus ES that just did a front wheel drive burnout there at the green light. The Honda HR-V doesn't have, last time I remember, I don't know if they even have rear vents back there or even implemented USB-Cs back there yet. Maybe they did with a refresh. That could have happened. There is a sport mode in here. Is that going to change my thoughts on this powertrain? And the answer is no. It still feels a bit laggy. Mainly not from the turbo end of things. It just feels laggy from the transmission response still in sport mode. There's a manual mode with the traditional shifter. I like the traditional shifter. You have a manual mode in it, which is kind of funny. Let's see if I can get out of normal or into normal. You have to keep pressing the mode button here. I gotta get around this dump truck, guys. I'm sorry, it's driving me crazy. I can't find really much to complain about for a vehicle of this class and its price point. All right, so let's head back to the office. Let's see if we can find any deals in my area on the Volkswagen Taos. And let's see where it stacks up compared to a Nissan Kicks and a Mazda CX-30, which I've also reviewed both of those vehicles so far in 2025. We'll put it on the spreadsheet. Let's look for deals in my area on the Volkswagen Taos. Now, here's the thing. Getting the SEL or any trim that's over $30,000 on this is a hard sell for me. All right, so we're going to focus on looking at the lowest price, $25K for an S. And if you can get an SE for under $30K, I think that's a good buy. The Taos, not perfect, but it is very accommodating for the class. All right. The HRV, which is, I would say, a direct competitor and just a side grade. There's some things I like about the Honda better and vice versa. All right. You can find these for about $25K as well. All right. So again, it just depends on what vehicle you want over the other, all right? Because they're going for about the same price, and the Volkswagen probably has a little bit better equipment than the Honda. Now, the Corolla Cross, I don't recommend the non-hybrid. The hybrid's the only way to go because the CVT is so bad, meaning on the 2-liter non-hybrid, my kids get car sick in it because it won't stay a steady state. You have to continuously nanny the throttle to stay like at any certain mile per hour. Yeah, the hybrid here is king of the class. But the problem is, it is small on the inside compared to the competition. It's pretty ugly on the inside. Now, I will be driving it, I think, early this fall, the refreshed Corolla Cross, and they have made improvements to the interior. But most of what you're seeing here, like, they're not even at dealerships right now. All right, there's very few out. There's only 17 Corolla Cross hybrids, so it's essentially vaporware. All right, until these things can become in better availability, meaning essentially standard hybrid like the new RAV4 is going to be, it's a tough sell unless you can find a good deal on one or one just sitting around a lot, which can happen, but it is very rare. There are a ton of CX-30s. So look, there's 600 CX-30s. If I go back to the Taos, there are 500. All right. And for the HRV, there's 1,500 within the same radius. So what does that mean? Well, the more sitting around, the better chance you are to get a screaming deal on these things. All right. These manufacturers, sorry, not the manufacturers. Well, yes, the manufacturers, they don't want their cars sitting around because they got to send to the dealers. The dealers don't want to send them around because it costs the dealers money to hold these vehicles in their inventory. So they want to sell them quickly. All right. So if they have high inventory, like you see right here on the HRV, they're probably a little bit more willing to deal compared to a Volkswagen dealer. All right, but let's keep moving. All right, good luck with the Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid. That's plain and simple because there's just none out there. Back to the highly available CX-30. The sales have been going down on these, especially the last quarter for Mazda, but you can still get them. I much prefer the powertrain on this Mazda. The problem with this Mazda, like the Corolla Cross, it's very cramped on the inside. Very, like it's not packaged well. It has the best powertrain. That's not a hybrid. The hybrid on the Corolla Cross is fantastic. The 6-speed auto here, whether you get the turbo, which is just crazy for the price point, but also like, don't buy the turbo on this. It's going to cost too much money. Just get a CX-5 at that point. But yeah, $25,000. I'd rather have this than an HRV. Maybe the Taos. We'll come back to that here in a little bit. Nissan Kicks. This is one of my favorite compact crossovers. It is roomy like the Taos, but it looks better than the Taos. It gets better fuel economy than the Taos. I was getting like 33 miles per gallon on here. The Taos was getting about 24, 25. And mainly driving in town. You have better ground clearance here. The Subaru Crosstrek is also a rival. I didn't bring that one up today because I haven't driven it in a while, so I don't want to talk too much about the Crosstrek. I just remember it being very slow, but it had good driving manners. The Nissan Kicks also is fun to drive. Like, that has good tech, big screens in it if you want them. But on the base trim, guys, you can get a Kicks S for $20K. All right, so keep that in mind. As we go to the spreadsheet, where do I put the Volkswagen Taos? It's roomy. It has good features. For the price point, the transmission holds back this engine. It's very sluggish. There's no auto brake hold. I forgot to bring that up because I was hardly at any stops during my drive today. And the stereo is rattly. Even though it has like little to no bass, I crank the bass on there. It rattles. And it just doesn't, it's just not a good sound system, especially for an SEL trim, which is supposed to be your top of the line. Okay, so Volkswagen Taos under $30,000. I'm just gonna put it as it's a solid buy. It's a good car. All right. How would I compare it to the CX-30 Turbo? Well, I mean, look, you can get these for $33K, the carbon turbos for Mazda, and the Taos that I drove today was $35K. You can probably get a little bit discount, but it's not as good as the CX-30, the Taos, but it is solid. So it's going to be somewhere in here. It's not as good as the Kicks because the Kicks just offers an overall good package. The CVT is actually far more responsive in the Kicks than this 8-speed auto is with the turbo. It's crazy. The Kicks is more lively, more fun to drive despite being down on horsepower, despite not having a geared transmission. I really enjoy the Nissan Kicks. I still think it's the best buy in the segment. A couple other things I want to say about the Taos before I let you guys go. It's really easy to get in and out of. And I kind of like how the door sills are high. So when you sit into it, it kind of feels like you're being hugged by the car. It's kind of hard to explain, but the vehicle, Volkswagen did a really good job with the packaging of it. It's very roomy for the class. And it has pretty much all the features and the comfort that I could want. All right. Again, the driving dynamics with the engine, mainly the transmission, just seem to be a little off. I'm going to thank you guys for watching. Let me know which subcompact crossover you'd be rolling with in this segment. Again, the Corolla Cross is essentially vaporware. And the Nissan Kicks, they're $1,200 in my area. You're going to be able to get a screaming deal. It is my pick out of all of them. They all have their own strengths and weaknesses, with the Mazda and the Toyota having great powertrains, but should I say, the Toyota has a good hybrid powertrain, not the standard powertrain. Mazda's both powertrains are fantastic, but it's just really small on the inside. Honda's dog slow, it lacks a bit of features, but it feels more premium than the rest of the vehicles. Well, maybe not the CX-30. The CX-30 does feel premium. And the Taos just is kind of like this really roomy, turbocharged outlier in the segment. And the styling has taken a step back. And the fuel economy is so-so, but you do get good features. But man, that sound system's trash. I can't wait to see what you pick down below out of the ones I mentioned today. Maybe you'd pick a Crosstrek or a Kona or something. I can't cover, like I even talked about the tracks today in the video while I was driving. Like I would definitely take a Volkswagen, the Volkswagen Taos over a Trax. But again, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day and peace.